Hi, Jen.
Hi, Andy. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Looking forward to learning all about the ego this evening.
Good. It's brilliant because my notes were a bit all over the place, to be quite honest. But yeah, it's like the universe wrote this. It kind of curated this show just through synchronicity. It's like I've not had to do anything, which I like because that's a really good t teaching point as well. The universe makes me laugh.
Yes, it's a reflection. So if you've got a humorous outlook on life, it tends to reflect it back. And if you've got a strong mind, it'll reflect that back.
Mm, yeah,
That's what I believe anyway. It's like a mirror.
yeah.
The universe has a strange sense of humour and likes to play,
Mm.
and we're here to play along.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said that about the mirror because a Bashar video came to me that demonstrates that exactly, like talking about how the ego is basically just the portal for our higher self to access the physical dimension. I love that.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Tim's with us as well. Hi, Tim.
Yeah, hi Tim. How are you doing?
Yeah, reasonable. Slightly above average.
That's good. Yeah, awesome. I don't know, I'm not, my notes are sort of a bit all over the place because I think I've stopped thinking linearly and I've started to be more right-brained. So I've got chunks of information like all over the place, not in any particular order. It's like Les Dawson used to play his notes. That's what I'm doing.
What did he do? He just played the piano.
Yeah, he used to
And
like, but he used to make funny mistakes on purpose, and then he'd say,
all
"I'm playing all the right notes, but not necessarily in the right order." Not that there is a right order.
music's a fascinating area of creativity. Um, some notes do sound awful together, but then some notes do sound fantastic together, and they harmonise.
Yeah.
It's a interesting aspect. If we're all vibrating energy frequencies, and music is the same, yeah. That's why we tend to um, levitate towards certain styles of music because the vibration matches our own.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's funny that you said that because this week I've been listening a lot to one of my Spotify playlists, and I seem to get exactly the right song for what I need to know. You know, when you listen properly to the words. I mean, I've got a playlist that I've called Praise because it makes me feel grateful and like there's lots of good words and good vibes. And I've started to like look more deeply at the words and like some tunes that I've known all my life, I'm suddenly looking at them in a different way. Brilliant.
Yeah. That the words start to mean something more than you thought that they did way back then.
Yeah, and then you realize this song has been programming me in a good way.
Oh, Jackie's with us as well. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Thank you for coming.
Looking forward to tonight's show.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the ego, very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's very apt as well for the moment because it's the energies have got so absolutely ridiculous now that it's sort of everybody knows they have to let go, but they don't necessarily know how. And yeah, hopefully this will help.
We shall be listening eagerly. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, eagerly is eagerly is great energy.
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Andy. Okay, I'm going to mute again. Good evening, Carly's joined as well.
Hi, Carly.
There you go. Sorry, I didn't realise I still had that on. The dog's going crazy, as you heard. Now.
Oh, it's nice that
Do you
everybody's
want
here.
me to start the recording for you, Jen, or do you want to start it?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you can do it if you like, Andy. Thank you.
Where are we going? You know, that I play now.
What's that?
When I set the schedule up for your show, I know you're going to change it. So I'm trying to forethink what it is that you're going to call the show.
Yeah, I don't think I know. I don't know, to be
Now I've
honest.
told you you're going to change it now, just to play with me.
Yeah, I'm going to psych you out.
Yeah. Right. So what we're going to let's put feeling.
And I think it's episode 10. I keep meaning to actually count the episodes to make sure I got that right. But it feels like episode 10.
As long as there's a key word in there that, like for example, tonight's show is all about the ego. So you could have the alphabet in there as long as the word ego appears. If anyone searches for ego, then they will find the audio file.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I keep forgetting about
feeling
this.
Is healing. What else do you want to say? Feeling is healing. The ego.
Yeah, that'll do.
That'll do. I can't remember how many episodes you've done, but you're getting there with you're clocking them up now.
Clocking them
which
up.
Is great.
Yeah, it's really helping me with my discipline generally. It's I work better if I have a routine, and I'm a lot scattered as well. So I have to consciously go in that direction.
Excellent. Well done. It's helping, which is great.
Yeah.
And just a quick one, in case I missed the end of the show, because I want to take the dog out for a walk soon. Because it stops raining, everybody else takes the dog out. They all start talking to you as you meet up. Are you going to the festival this weekend?
Yes, I think we are. Yeah.
Is there anywhere other than Facebook? Because I'm not on Facebook. Is there anywhere that tells us who's on, what speakers are on which day, so we can choose which day to go on?
I don't know, and I was wondering that myself because Joyce sent me the link actually, and I'm not on Facebook, so I couldn't have a proper look. So I did mean to Google it and see if there was any other information online anywhere.
The only thing I've been able to find is a video, which doesn't give you any information other than what we already know. Yeah,
that's interesting, isn't it? But maybe it's because the people who are speaking don't want anyone to know that they're going to be there. Because quite a few of the Truther festivals, people have not put their name down and then just turned up as surprise guests. I think it's so that they don't get sabotaged or whatever.
Yeah.
So that might be why it seems a bit short on information, but.
All right, okay. I will see what more information I can dig out. If I find anything, I will send it to you.
Okay, brilliant. But we were thinking Sunday. Sunday was probably the day that we might go, but we'll see.
All right, okay. Right, are you ready for the countdown?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Hello, this is Jenny Luscombe, and this is episode 10 of Feeling is Healing. And today we're talking about the ego. So I like to start with a definition, and obviously that has to incorporate Freud. So if you talk to Freud about the ego, he would say it's the portion of the personality that is experienced as I or self. So as there is with everything on the spiritual path, there's quite a lot of misconceptions about the ego. The first one being that you have to get rid of it. So that's actually not what we're doing, although it's easy to see how we've all sort of had the wool pulled over our eyes with that, because there's like there is with everything, there's a dark and a light to every system, to every concept. So the ego obviously has a dark side, and we all sort of understand what that looks like, maybe in ourselves and in other people, when we're, you know, incredibly controlling. We believe that we're the ones orchestrating everything, manipulating, a certain way, needing to be a certain way, needing to be seen as a certain type of person, that kind of thing. That's kind of the dark side. And what that doesn't allow for is for your natural source creator to be feeding into your what is your ego. So my ego is Jen. So I think that there's an agenda in here, like I always think there is. I think that the codependence among us, which is probably most of us that are listening to this, we've been programmed to believe that we have to self-sacrifice. So this kind of perpetuates the illusion that we have to get rid of the ego, that we're actually being good if we self-sacrifice and if we hand ourselves over to someone else, and we kind of get hijacked. And sometimes we fall into the trap of thinking, well, that's good because then I'm not in my ego. Now that's bonkers, and it doesn't work, and it's unhealthy, and it isn't true. So ego doesn't just have negative aspects, it has positive aspects as well, which is what everybody seems to miss about the ego. So we have to move into and consciousness. So, you know, we have to look at the polarities. So we have to look at the dark side of ourselves and the light side of ourselves, but we also have to know where we got our self-concept from in the first place. So we all have a concept of the I or of the self, and our ego is usually called by our name that people know us as. So our own concept of self has been interfered with a lot, like a lot. And we've been led to diminish ourselves and be diminished by other people, having to shut aspects of ourselves down to survive. So systematically and chronically, we've been doing that 24/7. For the first 7 years of our life, we were downloading limiting beliefs about ourselves. So who we actually are has been covered up. So we only understand our ego. So I only understand Jen on the basis of the reflections in the world. And Andy said that just at the beginning when we were having a chat. The physical dimension isn't actually real. It's just a mirror. So who we actually are has been covered over. So our self-concept and actually our ego as we know it is in a bit of a pickle. And because we had to shut positive aspects of ourselves down and negative aspects we kind of held on to, there's not much of who we actually really are left, frankly. So we've spent a lot of our lives downloading negative messages about ourselves from other people, from society, and we've made that who we are. We've integrated that into who we are. So when you heal, you're shifting the stuff that isn't you, that maybe somebody else gave to you, and you're uncovering the you that you really are. So we weren't taught that we receive who we actually are from our higher self, but that is what's happening. So I think a helpful way of understanding what the ego is and what we need to be kind of striving for, and there's loads of different ways of looking at it, and I've kind of collected a few, I've posted a few links and stuff from what some other folks think about the ego. But I think that we need to start thinking about our thoughts as a sense. So we receive images through our eyes as sight. we receive sounds through our ears. We receive smells, we receive tastes from our environment. So we're receiving our thoughts from our environment. So we're also receiving our thoughts from our higher self. So we've got 2 points of attraction. We've got the I here on planet Earth in the physical body, the one that we call by our own name. So we're receiving from that environment, from physical reality, but we're also receiving from our higher self. So we've got 2 points of attraction. We've got our conscious mind and we've got our subconscious mind. So we're receiving what we are. So we have all been programmed to think that we are the doers. We're the ones doing it. We're not. And it takes all of our lives, it takes so long to realize this enough to actually begin to live life as if you're not the doer. So it is a bit confusing, and it's easy to see how people think that we have to kind of empty ourselves out and then there's nothing of us left. It's easy to see how that has kind of come about. And it's easy to see how people think we need to get rid of the ego because the ego is bad. So it just isn't. It isn't bad. There's negative aspects and there's positive aspects. Now, we all want to receive ourselves as we truly are, because that's where the magic can start to unfold. So we're under the illusion that we are in control. So we think that I, the self, Jen, we think we're in control. We think we're on our own, controlling everything because we have to. Spinning plates, getting to work, getting the bills paid, doing all the things, orchestrating everything. And we're not actually helping ourselves by seeing ourselves as the doer, because we keep sabotaging ourselves and we can't get it right from the limited perspective that we're in. So we need to expand out and we need to let go of who we thought we were and then become who we actually are. So I quite like how Bashar puts it. So I've included a link. So this came to me synchronistically today. The universe kind of wrote this radio show by bringing me lots of things that I wasn't expecting, that I couldn't have looked up, that just came to me, that just nailed it. So yeah, have a look at that link. But it's a really interesting video actually, and there's a lot of it that's not actually about the ego, but there's a part here where he's saying basically it doesn't matter what happens, it only matters what you do with what happens. So trying to be someone that you're not is the most exhausting thing you can do, and that's what we're all doing. We're all trying to be someone we're not, because we thought we had to try and be this certain thing that society requires, or this certain thing that people say is good. So trying to be someone that other people tell us is the right thing, or, you know, the wrong thing, it's insane because it's not us. So the dark side of the ego is that we're trying to be or to appear in a certain light for other people. So there's nothing in that that is helping you to receive yourself, because you're sending out the message to the universe for a start that you're not good enough as you are. So you're kind of preventing yourself. So we think we have to control everything and we don't. So our purpose, which people get quite confused by, quite understandably, is to be you. So when I refer to you in this context, I mean you as God. So if it's true that we are all a fragment of source consciousness, then our purpose is to be that. And we can't be that until we move the ego kind of out the way, and we don't have to get rid of it, because it makes more sense to see that you're building on it. So building on what you already think you are, heal to take away the bits that are not you, and then try to retrieve those positive aspects of yourself that you suppress so that you can be the truth of you. So your purpose is to be you, to allow the you that you are, that is the highest aspect of you as God, to allow that to be and allow that to come and to flow into your existence. So we don't know who that is until it happens, but we have to give permission for that. And it's not easy. So your frequency of existence, this is how Bashar puts it, acting on your passion brings you into a state where life works automatically. And that's not to say that there aren't challenges, because obviously there are if you want to continue to grow. So life works automatically. We're just watching the show. So if you see yourself in your highest evolved God self aspect, literally eating popcorn, that is the state that you are striving for. To completely let go of believing that it's you doing it and believing that you've got it right and that your way is the way. It might be, you might have got loads of things right and in alignment for yourself. But if you completely let go of who you thought you were and what you were supposed to be doing according to what other people say, then you can just fully allow yourself. So I liked how he said physical reality isn't real, it's just a mirror. So we're kind of like looking at the ego here as it's kind of a mechanism, it's like a function to channel your divine self into the physical reality. And you're just the translator of that. Because your body is in the third dimension. Your body is physical and it's in the third dimension. So you have to ground the truth of you into your body. And that's why we do the healing, because the healing is cellular. So we have to move the dark stuff out of the body so that the light of us can come in. So it's about surrendering to the flow. Now, some people think that is the same as it's the same as giving up control. It's not the same thing. So if you think about what surrendering to the flow would look like, as opposed to giving up control, surrendering to the flow is you're still in there, but you're co-creating, and you don't need to control. Control isn't a thing anymore when you've surrendered. So it's not about you sacrificing yourself entirely. It's about you receiving the highest aspect of yourself and then eating popcorn to see how that manifests. And then receiving the messages. Where do I need to go? What do I need to say? How is this going to work? And then allowing that to happen. So according to Bashar, he says, your ego has to keep you focused on your physical existence so you can experience your life. It allows you to experience physical reality as if it were real. And our natural state is spirit. We're just dreaming that we've left spirit. I like how he put that. Yeah, there was another really interesting post. Let me see if I can find it now. Yeah, so it was a question and answer that I saw today on social media by somebody called Archaics, ARCHAIX. And somebody asked them a question and they answered it instantly as they saw it. So the questioner was asking about something which I'm not fully aware of because I don't know what they're referring to. But I sort of have looked at other parts of this kind of exchange and thought it was really interesting. So the questioner is asking about the programming of our life and talking about how it's possible to overwrite our creation. Can we create different outcomes for ourselves despite the programming? So if we're stuck on a loop with certain ancestral patterns and we don't know how to move them, are we capable as humans of rewriting that? And his response was that there is programming embedded into the holofield event trajectories that your life will follow when you are phased into the collective programming. So this is kind of like the hive mind. But as soon as you start to deprogram and you are less and less affected by the collective programming, he says, when you're phased out of this and you're into the co-creator mode. So I like how he put that. So you're co-creating from your temporal self to your higher self. So your 2 points of attraction are co-creating your physical concept of yourself and your higher aspect. So I like that co-creating mode. It's all you, but you're co-creating with yourself because you're allowing the fullness and wholeness of yourself to come into being. So he says, when you phase out of the collective programming and you phase into your own programming, so you surrender and you allow your source consciousness to come in, you overwrite the coding and you build new programming into the field. So it is the nature of a hologram to allow new data to coexist and not contaminate the fixed field. And then he finished by saying, the fixed field that the living dead are slaved to. Wow, the words. I love it. Yeah, I love that. I like thinking of myself as being a co-creator with my higher self. So getting rid of the ego entirely just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. It's more that we're integrating our ego. So getting rid of our ego just doesn't make sense. We're integrating it. We're moving the aspects that don't make sense to us because they came from somebody else, someone else's demands or expectations. So we're keeping the good bits. We're integrating the negative aspects, learning the lessons, and then bringing in the wholeness and the fullness of who we are. So I like those perspectives so far. Yeah, so I've been feeling like really weird this week. And I think that this episode has sort of come about because I've been working on this myself, kind of in a conscious way. And it's a process, obviously. Like we've all been working on this all our lives, really. So I've been sort of focusing on like, how do I do that? Like, what does that look like for me? Like, becoming God, becoming the God self. I mean, it's amazing, but kind of ridiculous as well in my head. It's amazing and ridiculous at the same time, but like you have to just integrate it all. So I've been feeling since I've been doing this, like this week, really different. And I thought I'm going to write down like how different I feel because I've been practicing letting in what I didn't know was there. So letting in what I didn't know that I didn't know about myself. And I have started to feel like really present, like I've never felt before, like really present, kind of timeless. And like I've said this to Tim a few times before, like I get a sense of my energy body being really big. you know, like when you go to the park or something and you've got the grass and the sky, and you've got a 360 degrees kind of like spaciousness all around yourself. Like, have you ever like tried to just move your energy out as big as you can? Like, I feel today like my energy is just big. I can't really explain it like in a different way to that. Kind of expansive. And I've been doing a lot of laughing. And it does feel like I've been receiving pieces, but it's like I already knew that they were there. So I'm receiving information that seems kind of so obvious that I laugh at it. Because then I kind of look at it and go, well, if it was obvious, like, why was I finding it so hard to understand what I needed to do or be or whatever? But yeah, it's kind of like more depth. So seeing everybody in my life and where I live and like all my situations and different things that I do every day and clients and like seeing how it's all connected together. And I've just been having this kind of depth perception where everything just seems to make more sense. And I can't really explain it in any better way than that. So it's not like I actually have to do anything or be anything different to what I was doing. I just have to watch. So I've been seeing things as they are, and maybe I wasn't before this. So seeing things as they actually are, and then just finding peace in it. Um, yeah, so kind of it's a realization that there was illusion before. Like I was in illusions about people, about things. Um, but yeah, like when you're consciously trying to integrate the ego, you will have times like this where you feel like you've done it, and then you'll go backwards, or it'll seem like you've gone backwards, but there is no going backwards. Then you'll sort of come out of it again. But you have to keep ping-ponging. I call it cosmic ping pong. You have to play cosmic ping pong with yourself. You have to be in the high bit, and then you have to go to the low in order to. So you have to have this ping pong. You have to have this polarity. Um, so yeah, there's a little bit of a process that I might do at the end if I remember. Um, so another really clever person that I follow a lot and I get loads of my information from is Teal Swan. And she's a very controversial figure. And I found a video of hers today about, well, answering the question, is ego the enemy? Because so many of us do see this as being the case. So is ego the enemy? And her answer to this was like really beautiful and kind of probably quite surprising for a lot of you. So she says that the single biggest vehicle for your own awakening is your ego. So I want to put it to you, if that's true, is getting rid of our ego a good idea? If it is the single biggest vehicle for our own awakening. So she puts it that you can't have an awakening at all without integrating your ego. So she suggests actually falling in love with it. So fall in love with your ego. But she's kind of inferring that know that you are receiving it. You're receiving yourself. So you're not doing it. You're receiving it and then directing it to focus on your physical reality. So you're receiving yourself from your higher self. You're not doing it. You're just receiving it. You're just allowing it. So we need to fall in love with our ego and bring in the higher aspects to be integrated with that. So it's kind of like the portal that we serve humanity through. So obviously there's a shadow side to the ego, and it's up to us to take responsibility for that. But it's the light side, us as we are in our passion, that humanity needs. And we cannot bring that to humanity. We can't bring that to the earth. We can't bring that to the universe or the multiverse until we've allowed all of us, like all of the parts of us. Now, are we going to get there? Are we ever going to ground our entire higher aspect of our own divinity? I don't think it matters. I think just heading in that direction is going to be a huge amount of fun, especially if all we have to do is just eat popcorn and watch the show and allow it to be. So if you look at it from that perspective, life looks completely different. So there's always things around the corner that we didn't know were there that can step in and change everything. It's because we block it that it doesn't come. So I was thinking today as well, because I've been on the healing path for 12 years and I have really gone to town with it. I mean, you know, it probably wasn't healthy at first how much healing I was doing, but my ego has changed over time because I've done so much healing. So I've been basically seeing and understanding and releasing all of the not me aspects that I found since I've been excavating my consciousness. I've been releasing all of those, learning from them, understanding who I really am and bringing that in. So I've been doing that for a long time. So people that knew me back then, so people that knew me in my kind of former lives, you know, maybe when I was teaching, when I was working for the NHS, people like, you know, my ex who I was with for 24 years, like people who knew me as Jen back then, I'm no longer the Jen that they knew. So the Jen that I am now, I am more me than I ever was. So those people from my past, they don't necessarily know me at all now. So that's interesting. They only knew the traumatized aspect of me. Isn't that a weird thought? So my trueness underneath wasn't fully visible to them. And I think it's always kind of like leaking through, like the truth of you is always there. And we have to remember that the truth of us is always there in the shadows. And it's the shadows that we have to work through in order to receive the gifts and the masteries of those. So yeah, I love how the universe curated this show through synchronicity to kind of make the point that it wasn't me, Jen, putting the show together. I was kind of working on my own ego and having kind of an interesting experience. And it was Source Creator kind of making a teaching point through me. So it seemed really obvious to kind of address the ego today. So I kind of let this show happen. So my notes are kind of like all over the place. But it makes sense to be more right-brained and kind of just receive things in the present moment rather than doing everything in a kind of logical way, all in a line, which is kind of the old me falling away. But yeah, it was a perfect teaching point that happened so I could explain the ego. So I've also seen today, because I talked a bit about the gene keys last week, and it seemed quite popular. A few people looked at their hologenetic profiles. That's a really good direction to go in. So a video came up today of Richard Rudd, because he gets asked a question really often, and it is, what is the most magical gene key of all of the 64 gene keys? So all of those keys apply to us. And he was never going to just pick one of them because all of them are miraculous, like all of them. So integrating the shadow of just one of those will change aspects of your life in ways that you couldn't possibly imagine. So he refers people to their hologenetic profile and he says, look at the gene key that's in your radiance. So there are different names for each of the types of experience that you're having through the gene keys. So the one that's in your radiance apparently unlocks magic in your life. So this is unlocking the real you in your life when you work on this gene key. So I saw this video and I was thinking, oh my God, I don't even know which one is in my radiance. So I looked at my profile and of course it was truth. So the mastery is truth, the gift is inquiry, and the shadow is doubt. So I've had like boatloads of doubt in my life and still continue to about some things. And I'm doing a pretty good job of integrating the shadow of doubt in lots of different aspects. And it has been crippling sometimes, but I've had to go onto the dark side in order to unlock the truth side. So yeah, inquiry has definitely been a thing for me. But this is what in my life, according to my free will choices that I made pre-birth, to be born at a certain specific time that I was born, in the certain specific place. My magical radiance gene key is truth. So have a look at what yours is, because it's you. So when you properly look at this one, what is not that has to start falling away. If you ask the universe, I'd like to start working on this shadow, please can you help me do that in the best ways that I can learn that, you know, what I need to see, what I need to do. You quite often hear people talk about the dissolution of the ego. The radiance is what is underneath when you go through this process of the dissolution of the ego, which Freud talked a lot about as well. So yeah, I would highly recommend looking that up because it gives you so much insight about yourself and you start to see how different things have played out in your life that you might have thought were about other things and other lessons that you learned. And like there's always multiple lessons, but once you start to explore that, you see what was really meant for you and you start to join all the dots and you start to understand why you did the things that you did even when other people thought it was crazy. And it shows you actually how much you have followed your intuition and how much you have been there with your higher self, not thinking that you are. So it's all God, even when you're in the shadows. You have to be in the shadows because you wouldn't know the light if you hadn't been. So I think I've said quite a lot about the ego. There's been kind of lots of interesting ways of looking at it here. I heard, right, I can't even credit where this came from, but like there was because I listened to loads of channeled information and I never remember where anything comes from. I think this might have been from the Arcturians, I don't know. But this is a really good process to visualize bringing in and feeling in your body the receiving of your higher self, of your source self. So if you imagine coming up through the bottom of your feet, imagine earth energy, imagine it red. An EFT friend of mine actually says, imagine painting your legs red. This is the color of the root chakra. So imagine painting your legs red. Bring that red earth energy up through your feet, up through your root, all the way up through the top of your head. And then keep bringing that round in a toroidal field so it keeps rejoining itself. And then bring in crystal white energy from above through the top of your head. So imagine that is your source, your highest aspect. So you're bringing that in through your crown, all the way down through your root, through your feet into the earth, and then bring that in a toroidal field so it joins up to itself again. So you've got two energies coming through, one from the earth, one from the heavens. And then each in-breath and out-breath, imagine breathing in the wholeness and fullness of your highest evolved aspect as much as you can handle right now. Perfect for you, for what you're going through. And then as you exhale, send out your love to the earth and to humanity and to the universe and to the multiverse. And then imagine this version of you that's coming in. Some people call this like kind of like a walk-in. Some people refer to this as like nobody's walking in, like apart from you. So the wholeness and fullness of you without interference, just you. So imagine what bringing that aspect of you in, imagine what that could do for humanity, for the earth, for the universe, for the multiverse. The way to truly manifest is to not be trying to get that for yourself necessarily. You will, because you're the one that's kind of the portal. You're the one allowing it. But to bring that through for the benefit of the earth, humanity, the universe, the multiverse. That's how to receive yourself, is to ask, how can I serve? How can I be who I was truly meant to be? Integrate that, bring that into your ego. So ask Spirit, use me. Ask to serve as yourself, as your God self, for the maximum benefit of all. So when you do this process, bring in both energies and imagine that you are receiving your true self. Breathe it in, actually breathe it in into the cells of your body and feel the feelings of what that is that's coming in. So receive it. Try not to do it. Try not to project onto it. Oh, I want it to be like this. I want it to be like that. Just allow it and then ask yourself, what do I feel like? Who am I? What is the feeling of me? Without needing to control anything, without projecting. Receive yourself. So try that. I would recommend doing that every day because it's really grounding because of the earth energy, but it really connects you to yourself, like really. And if you're putting it out there, if you're setting the intention to be of service and you're allowing it in that moment, you're allowing what you didn't know that you didn't know to come in about yourself. That's how to expand. And just know that the universe will move out of your life what is not that. So sometimes it doesn't feel good, this work, as we've sort of covered before. Sometimes it feels like a car crash, and that's okay. So sometimes we have to feel the difficult stuff as it's on its way out, or we have to get triggered in a certain way. But when you receive yourself, you will look back and understand why that happened. I hope that's helped everybody with understanding the ego. And I hope that you have gone away realizing that it doesn't make sense to get rid of it. You need to fall in love with it without falling into the dark side of the ego that everybody's kind of familiar with because you see it in other people. And it's okay to be like that. And you know, it's okay to be like that until you realize you're being like that, and then you don't want to be like that anymore. But you have to see it in yourself. So yeah, I'll stop talking now and see if anybody else would like to join in or say anything, ask any questions or anything. But it's nice to see lots of people here today. Thank you for coming. Anybody like to speak?
I think everybody's shy. With their egos.
That's okay because I'm shy as well.
I think, yeah, we're all a little bit shy, aren't we? We just have to work over that. I think I heard a voice then.
Yeah.
Is that Gabby?
Yeah, that's me.
Hello, Gabrielle.
Hi, Jenny. It's
Nice to
so
see you.
lovely to listen in. Unfortunately, I only came halfway in, so I will listen to the whole of it in the beginning, and I'm you know, might ask a question that might have been answered already. It's so wonderful to meet somebody else that works with the Gene Keys.
Ah, do you as well? It's such a lovely community. I love it, and it's so gentle. Like that's the thing that I find about it. It's so lovely when you go on there. Do you ever listen to Clubhouse, to the programs on there?
I actually haven't as yet, but I went on to the very first Venus sequence transmission down in Somerset
Yeah.
with Richard. There's 49 of us.
Oh wow.
And it was the most powerful transformation of my life. It completely changed my life. And I'm you know, I'm so grateful. But when you were talking about your radiance, the self-doubt, working with a human design as well. So your life theme is the cross of consciousness. And it's such a beautiful activation that you have because you elevate with your presence, you just elevate everybody else's energy field into possibilities that we couldn't see before.
That's a lovely way of putting it. That really is. It says in my hologenetic profile, like obviously I've got I said in the show last week, I've got truth twice in my profile, and it says somewhere that basically what I'm here to do is to enable people to see the truth of themselves, which is so amazing. And like when I look back over my life, I didn't know this, like I didn't know this was what I was stumbling around like attempting to do my entire life. But I've always done jobs where I'm helping. Do you know what I mean? I've always had to be helping. I've never been able to stick at jobs where I'm just processing something bullshit, kind of like paperwork or whatever. I have done crap jobs, but I don't last very long at them because I feel like I'm dying. Yeah. But yeah, how lovely that you're also looking at the Gene Keys. It's so amazing, and I dip in and out of it a lot. Sometimes I don't pick it up for a while, and I sort of get sidetracked by other things, but I just keep coming back to it because it's just so miraculous and unbelievable.
It's a never-ending spiral, I find, and you sink deeper into it. And my radiance is the 4th Gene Key, and obviously the lines matter as well. Mine is all about opening your heart, softening, and bringing understanding into a situation.
Yeah.
You know, my shadow is to reject and to you know, have quite a reaction. So in my early years, I was walking around like this billiard ball or pool ball, just boinging against people.
Oh God, that's really what I was like as well. Like when I look back, I just think I don't know how I survived. Like I was so vulnerable. Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
And it's such a beautiful tool to stay connected in softness. Self-inquiry has been such a big part of my evolution, you know, understanding the triggers, and you know, when I go into my ego to actually go, okay, so what is my learning here? How can I befriend you even deeper? So yeah, I just loved the way you put it as well around you're saying about the self-doubt, like how you personalized the journey within the ego. So thank you for that.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's lovely, because I feel like the show, I just never know what I'm going to do it on until maybe it gets to Sunday, and then I kind of think, what's been happening? You know, what does it make sense to do the show about? And then I sort of look at my life and it's unfolded in a certain way. And then if I'm just teaching from the standpoint of what's happening to me, that is quite effortless, really, isn't it? And I think it just makes sense as well. Like when I sort of think back to like being at uni and being at school and having to write an essay and having to get it all the way that the teacher said, and the paragraph here and the punctuation, and I mean, what a load of old bollocks, really.
Absolutely. Effortlessness is where gene keys are helping us to flow. And it's also about accepting that life is not perfect, that life is a meandering path. At the same time, we need to give our river banks so it can flow. It's got a certain direction without holding on to it too tightly. It's been, you know, it's an ever evolving journey.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you're never going to run out. You're never going to. It's kind of like you're never going to complete the course. It's not kind of like doing a course, is it? It's just like it's just a forever thing. It's like for the rest of my life, I'm going to be revealing aspects of myself to myself that I didn't know were there. It's and it's like a map. Like I sort of see it as it's your map to yourself.
It brings it back home, like our self responsibility for the speed in which we allow ourselves to go. You know, it doesn't have to be fast. It can be a little bit faster sometimes. I go through periods where there's no realizations and I just chop wood and carry water. And then, like you said earlier, you know, you leave it for a while and then you get called by a gene key. Maybe in your profile, maybe not. Sometimes, because I work a lot with the cycles in life as well, and with nature. So as you know, each week there's a different theme, a different gene key that's activated. And then all of a sudden, there is something in my life. I'm like, well, okay, what can I dive into? What does this open up for me? What can I learn? And if there's somebody else that's into gene keys, I've got a friend in France, and she's amazing. We've been on this journey together since 2001. With first with human design, and then with Richard Rubb with the gene keys. And every now and again, we just go, oh, you know, and have a conversation. And it's so beautiful to see other people's journey as well and share that. And then co-creation becomes something very magical, I find.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I love how anybody puts into healing and has been doing healing work. I notice that people quite often start to combine healing modalities with each other. And I found that using muscle testing as a skill alongside the gene keys is profound. Because if I hit a bit of a wall and I go through something with my daughter, or something happens in my life, you know, whatever it is, work, relationships, whatever, and I'm just in that kind of fog of confusion, like I don't even understand, like, what am I supposed to see here? Like, it gives me so much clarity to just muscle test. Okay, so is there a gene key chapter that I can read that will show me exactly what is going on here? And so I'll muscle test, and then I get given a gene key, And then I look at that chapter, and usually I look at it and go, oh, it's not going to be that. Because my logical mind is like, no, like if I was going to flip through the book and go, okay, it feels like this shadow or whatever, if I actually read that one, it wouldn't be the one. But as I'm asking that my higher self, the fullness of me, I'm muscle testing my body consciousness, which is the one, and then they give me the one that I would never have looked at. I'll start to read that chapter and I am like, oh my God, that is just unbelievable. Like every single paragraph is synchronicity. It's like, holy shit. It's like it's rocket fuel. I can't even explain. Like, you know, when you're being accelerated when you stop kind of like trying to control. Like when you're trying to control, oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. It isn't. It's never that. It's always what you're given.
Yeah. And I find that, first of all, the first few years, probably the first 7 years, from 2004 onwards, it took me deep into, you know, what am I here for? What am I here for? And in the second 7 years, it was more about giving myself up. All the stuff that I'd combined and everything that I was going to offer in my coaching, and all of that, the coach disappeared. Things that I believed about myself, and I'm still dismantling stuff now. And it became more of a being the presence in the world, and I call it infiltration. So it took me down a line that I never, ever in 100 years would have chosen, and that's engineering. We install systems, automation, and I still don't know to this day exactly why it took me down that road. I just know that it flows. My husband and partner also, you know, has worked with the Gene Keys and all kinds of other things over the years. And every time we go to site, there is that gentle presence, and people go, you guys are different. Why are you different? And we just don't say anything. We just, you know, and it's that matter of taking that which comes through as a channel, and not as oh, here we are presenting this and we do that and that. It's about just that presence and allowing that to filter through what comes through the Gene Keys, whatever it might be. Sometimes it can be quite confrontational, and it's not always easy. But it's been quite magical to let go of my beliefs of how life should be. And I'm still kicking and screaming sometimes. It's
quite a surreal thing to sort of get your head around. I mean, I remember years ago when I was looking at all of this, I just thought it was bonkers. I couldn't grasp it, and I kind of could in an intellectualizing kind of way. But it's about sort of feeling it in your body, like feeling the energy of what is you and what isn't you. But yeah, it's all perfect, you know, whether you're up or you're down, like it's all teaching you.
Sure.
Magical.
Yeah. Right, I've got out now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else like to have a little word?
I could say something.
Hello, Tim.
Hi. There are definitely quite a lot of parallels with when you're talking about the ego, and the dream states, and like relatively early in my, you know, spiritual quest, I guess you could say, I got into A Course in Miracles for quite a number of years, and while obviously that's all about pure non-dualism, and I won't go into that now because that's a massive one to explain. But I I really got into that because it was, the teachings were, you know, very pure, you know, and once you kind of understood that, you know, there was a real clarity of mind that came to what is real and what isn't, you know, and how to navigate the world and the ego. But I found that there was a pitfall in there around disassociating from the ego and from the body. And actually, you know, as you said, in what you've discussed today, we absolutely do need the ego and the body, and if we can come to love them and utilize them both in the higher aspects, then that's going to do far more for us than instead of disassociating and, you know, kind of running away or trying to kill it off or something like that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to reflect what I've kind of, you know, come to realize after many years of kind of, you know, looking at that stuff. But I agree absolutely with what you shared, you know, it definitely rang true.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. It really is. I think the body is the last piece for a lot of people because, and I remember myself, like before I got into understanding what healing is, I remember thinking, how is spiritual healing going to affect your body? I just didn't see it as connected. I didn't see trauma as something that could be in the body. Like somehow we're holding it in the cells of our body. Like I just never thought that was what was going on, and it seemed bonkers. But some people refer to it as the Holy Trinity itself: the mind, the body, and the heart. So sometimes people say mind, body, spirit, don't they? Which is a bit of a misconception. It's like your spirit or your soul is your mind, body, and heart. So often on the spiritual path, we only have two of those things working together, or maybe they're all working in isolation. They're not working together. But yeah, as soon as you include your body, when you were kind of intellectualizing, feeling the emotion, if you don't include your body in that, you miss out on the sensation, which is the key to unlocking yourself. So the body is extremely important. Yeah, anybody else like to have a word? I think something. Oh, sorry.
That's about it.
Yeah.
No one's jumping in, so I thought I would just jump in and say thank you again, Jen, for another amazing show.
Oh, thanks, Andy.
Informative.
Yeah.
I'm always looking forward to your shows. I'm wondering what you're going to do next.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
See what happens. See what the universe gives me, basically. Because
And that's how I've always lived my life, is just ride the roller coaster that the universe provides. Sometimes you wave your hands in the air, and sometimes you grip tight for security.
Yeah, exactly.
And what it is.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, you know, I haven't got everything nailed down. I have moments where I feel amazing and moments where I feel awful, like terrible. But it's all just part of it, isn't it? Part of the journey. But so, something else I might do, I've started to, like what I was saying about music earlier, like I keep, it's almost like I get channeled messages now through my Spotify playlist. So I might start posting a song per week where I get a synchronistic song come and then it kind of nails what I'm thinking about or what everybody needs to know. Maybe I'll set the intention. Yeah, I'll set the intention to bring through for the people that listen to the show. What do they need to hear? Because there's always a theme within any group. Like there's a reason why we've all been drawn together. So there'll be a frequency that we all have in common that we're working on. So if I set the intention, okay, show me the tune show me the tune that I can share on the channel, where we can read the words and listen to the vibe. I like that idea.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Do you want to say your final thoughts, and then I'll stop the recording?
Yeah. What are my final thoughts? Gosh. I just think, you know, it's okay to not know how to do this. And you can intellectually hear how to do this, but then actually doing it yourself is not easy. So it just isn't. Like, our body is behind us, is behind our consciousness in a way. Like, our super high frequency, in the way that we're conscious and we're seeing things, we're seeing truth, we're seeing what's going on. Our body is somewhat behind us. And that's why we need to do the healing. We need to move the dark stuff out so we can bring the light in. But yeah, if you're finding it hard, you're just finding it hard. So just ask the universe, can I have a rest, please? Can you show me what it's like to surrender to the flow, even if it's just for a day? Say to the universe, I want to see if I like it or not before I commit. So ask the universe, show me what that's like for me. Give me a day where I'm surrendering to the flow, where I'm opening myself up to myself, instead of needing to get things right or control it in whatever ways. Like, ask for that and then report back to me next week and tell me what happened. But yeah, you can stop the recording if you like, Andy. But thanks everyone. That was brilliant. Thanks everyone for coming live, and thanks for listening.
I'll start now. So anyone out there that's a bit shy and didn't want to be recorded, you can now speak freely.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you again, Jen, and Tim, and Gabby, Jackie, Joyce, and Carly. I've just scrolled it up, and Carly's there at the bottom, hiding away. So yeah, thank you, everybody.
Say thank you. It was really lovely. Again, I'll listen. Again, there was something that you were talking about, torrential fields, and I keep visualizing the flow of air in and out of my body and around it.
Yeah.
But when you spoke about the root chakra and bringing it up from the earth, I thought, I'm going to go back to that and have a listen, because maybe I can incorporate that in somewhere along the line. So thank you. Again, there's so much more as well. And Gabby, thank you to everyone.
Yeah, thanks. That was brilliant.
Much love to everybody.
Yeah, lots of love. See you next week.
Thank you very much.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Jen.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Night. Enjoy.